The following is a Candlepin Stars and Strikes rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs.
WNDS Sports and Tri-State Megabucks present Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Oh, look at this. Look at this! He got it! Ready for a fair!
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is sponsored in part by Washington Toyota Dodge Nissan. Looks good.
Looks good! That's good to go! It's a
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and once again, welcome here to Park Place Lanes in Windham, New Hampshire. An enthusiastic crowd on hand, and welcome to Candlepin Stars and Strikes once again. Glad you could join us. Doug Brown, along with Dan Murphy. And we begin our final regular season series, Dan. 3 weeks from today, we'll know our final qualifier for the Tournament of Champions. But one thing we do know already, and it's a bit of a shock.
That's right. There will be no Paul Berger this year. First time in 7 years. Paul's not in this ladder, so he won't be in the Tournament of Champions.
Wow. Well, somebody will be, though, from this new group that we start today. So let's meet our two bowlers as we begin with our number 5 seed, making his first appearance with us here on Stars and Strikes from Brockton, Massachusetts, Jim Grigaitis.
Okay, Jim carries an average of 125, high single 194, his roll-off score 668.
And speaking of that 668 roll-off score, Jim's roll-off score was actually dead even with our 4th-seeded bowler. They had to go to the tiebreaker to determine who was the top seed for this first match. But our 4th-seeded bowler who won the tiebreaker from Quincy, Massachusetts, Rich Hallberg.
Okay, Rich averages 120, high single 184. His roll-off score, as Doug said, 668.
But he had the highest single in that 5-game roll-off of 175, so that breaks the tie, and Rich Hallberg becomes the 4th-seeded bowler, which, for the purpose of today's show, all that means is that Rich gets to bowl last in the last game, which may or may not be an advantage. We've talked about that quite a bit over the years. All right, we have our bonus ball contest coming up later in the hour. We haven't had a winner for quite some time. $130 will be available at the end of the show. We're going to get this match started. Rich Hallberg and Jim Grigaitis right after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back, and before we get started, here are the 5 bowlers that have qualified for our final regular series of the season. We mentioned Jim Grigaitis and Rich Hallberg tied with the roll-off scores. They will settle it here on air today. The winner will advance to face Tom Morgan next week. Our number 2 seed is Don Richmond, and our number 1 seed is George McAllister. And as you can tell, the score is very close, just 24 pins from 1st through 5th. And Jim Grigaitis with his first ball here on Stars and Strikes.
Right through the middle. I will give you a few inside stories of the roll-off because it was held at my place in Concord, so I was there for all the shifts. So kind of interesting how it all developed.
Yes, and as we always do, we like to thank the Responsible Bowling Center, so we would like to obviously thank Dan Murphy and his fine staff at Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord for their assistance in...
I will pass that along.
Please do.
Nice 10. All right, Jim moves over to lane 31. On the head pin this time, he kicks out the 7-pin.
One thing we should tell you about the roll-off right on the top, though, is you saw that Rich Hallberg and Jim Grigaitis were tied with 668. They were the last 2 qualifiers as Jim picks up his first mark of the day. But we should also tell you that there was a 2-way tie for 6th, just 1 pin behind Jim and Rich. Pat Pay and Dave Richards were tied at 667, just missing that tie by 1 pin. And then 1 pin behind Pat and Dave was Keith Digio at 666. So 3 guys missed possibly a television appearance by 2 pins or less. One of the closer roll-offs we've ever had. Rich Hallberg starts with a mark.
Yeah, you see the spare? Yeah, it was. Cluster of 4 in the corner there.
Made it look pretty easy. Rich lost that one a little bit to the left, just 3. Rich was also the 4th seed in our last singles series, which came immediately prior to the mixed doubles, which we wrapped up last week. Back at the end of January, Super Bowl Sunday, in fact, Rich was here and was the number 4 seed and threw a 387 and lost to Kevin Davis. So Rich trying to get immediate retribution here, qualifying for 2 series in a row. That doesn't happen very often.
Well, Jim will fill that spare on lane 32. Solid 8-pin drop, the 5 and the 9 left. Trying to make it 2 marks in a row. Jim and Rich both bowled on the same shift in the final roll-off. Didn't know till the final box that they're actually tied and nosed out a couple other bowlers.
That's something we don't get a chance to talk about too often, Dan, but it's interesting because depending on the size of the bowling center, there are often several different shifts in the final roll-off. So if you're bowling in the first shift, say, and you post a score, you really don't know if that's going to be good enough because there are a lot of other guys that have to bowl after you do. And there's another one for Jim Grigaitis, 3 marks in a row.
Well, first time with us, butterfly seemed to have disappeared rather rapidly for Jim. You're talking about that too, Doug, is Dave Richards. He bowled one of the early shifts, and he called after the second shift, and he was still comfortably in 3rd place, I believe, at that time. It wasn't until the last shift that they passed him by. Nice try there by Rich. Let me see some of those roll-offs. Tom Morgan, that's pretty. He was leading after the first shift, and he was going along pretty well, but nothing spectacular. I think his strings range from anywhere from 130 to 157. But the key was the 4th game. He only had a high 50 for the half. He went strike, 9-pin drop, spare, 9-pin drop, spare. And that's what really made the difference for him. He collected a lot of pins, some 90-some pins in that last 5 boxes. The other one, Don Richmond, he needed a 163 to beat George McAllister for the top spot. He had 99 plus a ball at the half of the last game and ran into a little bit of trouble and didn't quite catch George, but threw 160 game to give himself the 2nd spot. There's
always a lot of hidden subplots and hidden drama in the roll-offs.
It was really fun to watch.
Big ball for Jim Grigaitis, and he's going to get a break maybe on the 9-pin. No, incredibly, it stays up.
That's a bad break. That ball was probably one of the better ones he's thrown in the match, and he's got 3 marks in a row. Leaves himself the 7 and 9, double piece of wood in front of the 9. Let's see if he can move that. Problem pin obviously would probably be the 7.
See.
Yeah, ball catches it. 4 in a row.
Wouldn't have happened without the double wood in front.
Oh.
Talk about a good first half. How about Jim Grigaitis?
Oh, he's right back in there again, and this time the 9-10, although he does have a piece of wood far to the left, but a one in front of the 10-pin, which I probably will want to use that one and try to slap it off the wall, or maybe just catch the end of it.
Got it.
Off the wall it came. 5 in a row.
83 half for Jim Grigaitis and a spare up in the 6th.
Watch this, off the wall. Very nicely done. As spare 8, spare 9, spare 8, spare 8.
Apparently Jim likes it here. Rich Hallberg, big first ball, and wobbles the 4-pin. Rich looking for his 2nd mark.
Don't forget, this man had a 175 in the roll-off, so you know he can put some scores up if he gets going. There's a spare in the 5th for Rich.
Rich Hallberg from Quincy, Mass. Works for the Bank of Boston. Gets a break on the 10-pin.
Pretty good ball in the 1-3 pocket, but needs some extra help for the 10-pin. Gives himself a legitimate spare leave in the 2-4. Oh, sliding by in the right.
All right, on the stick.
Rich does not waste any time up there.
Takes the 10 box, but he is trailing by 25 pins, as you see, plus this first ball, the fill ball for Jim Grigaitis. Boy, he is right in the pocket again,
man.
this time for the bomb.
He's in that zone. He is just pounding the 1-2, the 1-3 pocket. This time the 1-3. This time he doesn't get kind of a weird lead like the 9-10. He just kicks the 10 pin out for the strike. This time a little light. Well, a 3, 5, 7, 10 piece of wood in next to the 5, but behind the 3 pin, which is going to deaden the 3 pin. See how it reacts. Wow, oh boy.
So the streak finally ends at 6 in a row.
Not anything because of what Jim just threw. That ball looked like it was destined for another spare, but just didn't get any break on the 7 pin. Gives him 132. Watch, nothing comes close. Well, actually does, right in front of the 7 pin. That close to making it 8 in a row.
Rich Hallberg.
Actually 7 in a row, that would have been.
Nice break for Rich. He'll shoot at the 6 and the 9. Just has to beware of the piece of wood depending on where that settles down.
He's got to concentrate on that 6 pin. Goes by the 6, he's not going to get the spare. Oh, too far left. And a 9. 77 now. The lead now is 45.
Well, we mentioned when Rich was here a few weeks ago, he caught a tiger by the tail, Kevin Davis, who threw a 429 at him. Found himself trying to come from behind the whole match. Threw a good score, but it wasn't good enough to win.
Oh boy. No luck there in the 10 on the 7 pin. Had the head pin and a couple pieces of wood. Nothing touched the 7 pin at all. So he gets the 10. Oh my.
That's 2 strikes in a row on lane 32 now for Jim.
This time on the 1-2 pocket, and that was quicker than the other one. Back in the 7th frame.
He is working just a monster string here.
2 and 8. Nice piece of wood out in front. Shouldn't be any problem.
Got it. 162 with a ball to go in the 10th. It'll be a 6 and a 168 opening game for Jim Grigaitis, and a well-deserved round of applause.
Everything, as you can see, didn't leave a pin standing either. 2 10 boxes, all the rest spares, a couple strikes in there.
Get off.
Rich drops 9.
Looking at the 4 pin.
Watch out. No, he got it with the wood.
No problem there. He had plenty of wood behind it that was frozen. It kicked forward. Gives him a spare in the 9th at 97 plus this bonus ball. All he needs is a good fill and another spare. Get some of those pins back.
Speaking of bonus ball, get a pen and paper handy. We'll be giving you the address after this next break, how you can enter our bonus ball contest. Another mark for Rich.
Gives him 114 plus a ball coming in the 10th.
And a big strike. Strike on spare. 124 for Rich Hallberg, 168 for Jim Grigaitis, and we'll be back with Game 2 and details on our bonus ball contest after this. Right now, Rich Hallberg would like to throw some bonus balls. He needs marks as he trails by 44 entering game 2. After watching Jim Grigaitis open up with a blazing 168.
I was just looking at the 1 and 2. However, that 4-pin fell backwards. It almost fell forward. He might have had a strike. Oh, just sliding by that head pin.
Rich has just missed several spares already.
2 pinners seem to be his nemesis today. So far, anyways. 9 bucks. Let's shoot at the 1, 2, 4 this time.
With wood to guide the way. And robbed.
My, oh my. Those pins went straight up in the air instead of going to the left. That would probably have taken the 4-pin out. Piece of bad luck there for Rich. 19 after 2.
Oh, before I forget, Dan, I have an important announcement, programming announcement to make. And that is that we had been mentioning for the last several weeks that next week's show, Sunday, March 31st, would air at a different time. Well, that, in fact, will not happen now. There has been yet another program change. And next Sunday's show, March 31st, will air at its normal time, 12 noon. So be sure to join us at our regular time, 12 noon, next Sunday here on Stars and Strikes, with the winner of this match against Tom Morgan. Of course, on Sunday, April the 21st, we will start the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions, our 8th annual event, and the first one without Paul Berger. So once again, next Sunday, 12 noon, our regular time.
Kicks out the 4-7, leaves himself the 10. A little heavy on the head pin. Got a good break there, though. But now he's got some troubling wood out in front of the 10 pin. Try to cap the piece of wood to the right.
Oh, he's got it. Perfect.
Or you can cap the wood to the left. I think he was shooting for the right piece, but he caught the left one, and lo and behold, that was the one.
That's 9 marks in 11 boxes for Jim Grigaitis.
Mix it up, mix it up.
Save your letters. I just asked Jim, and he said he was shooting for the right one. He's an honest man. Just goes to show there's 2 ways to play that one. Jim in my way and the right way. There we go, 7-10.
A break there for Rich Hallberg, finally. Well, he missed a number of other 2-pin spares, and then he made the 7-10. Go figure that. With wood.
Load it up, big man. Go
Mark number 6 for Rich Hallberg. Just catching a piece of the head pin, and
Oh, this should be a little easier because he got 7, 9, 10. And he's got about 5 pieces of wood laying in front of him.
wow. Knocked 8 pins down, 5 of them are on the deck. Or 7 pins down, 5 out of 7.
Oh,
And not enough to catch the 7 pin.
a tough luck for Rich Hallberg. A couple of those spares looked like he hit him, but left the 7 pin that time.
Jim Grigaitis now working on a spare. Gets a pretty good mix. Well, it actually stopped. I thought the 6 pin was going to go over. Carries just 6 on the spare.
Has he missed the head pin yet with that first ball? I don't think so. That one's a little light in the 1-2 pocket. 6, 7, 9, 10. Triangle on the right plus the 7 pin. Piece of wood out in front he's probably going to try to use. does, effectively, too, for the spare. Take a look at this one. 2 in a row, and he's back on track with the marks.
That's 10 already.
And again, in the pocket, will the 10-pin go? 5-10.
Well, if that wood slides over toward the 5-pin a little more, he might have a better... Well, actually, he has a fairly good chance right now, maybe.
I think you have to cap it, though. I think the ball will be deflected. No, what do I know?
3 marks in a row. Jim Grigaitis is on another roll here. He's having a heck of a match so far, leading Rich Hallberg, and we'll be back with more here on Stars and Strikes. Rich Hallberg, who's been kind of a regular here for the last couple of months. He was here on singles, we mentioned, back in January, and he's going to have an upcoming appearance on skins as well.
And he leaves that pesky 7-pin again. Hang on.
Nope. You mentioned Rich does not take an awful lot of time, and sometimes it appears that he's rushing. Of course, when you're missing, I guess you look for anything that might be wrong, but
that's his normal style, though. I saw him in the roll-off,
yep.
And he was done before most.
Boy, another great first ball and another 9-pin drop.
Come on.
He needs one of these to get the confidence back. This time, the 5-pin.
That's it for the spare. Now Jim Grigaitis, who had 6 marks in a row in the first game, he's got 3 in a row right now. Working on a spare, and he'll take 8.
Hasn't changed a thing. The same rhythm, releasing the ball the same. It's just carbon copy of the first game.
Oh.
Although he is human. Just sliding by the 3-pin, had the 3-5 up, trying to make it 4 in a row. 72.5 though.
And through 15 boxes halfway through the match, 240. For Jim Grigaitis.
2, 5, and 10. Piece of wood just to the left of the 2-pin. Almost like if you shot for the space between the wood and the 2-pin, you might just push everything from left to right for the spare. Gonna be close.
Nope, caught the cap. Didn't want to do it that time. And he was going for it. He was going for it on the 3rd ball.
That was the first 3 pins he's left standing. For 15 boxes, he was perfect. Didn't leave a pin on the deck.
Rich Hallberg on a spare. Carries 5. Great shot. Would have made it without the wood. Fine shot for Rich Hallberg.
Almost missed that 10-pin. No. Came off the wall, and I says, oh boy, it's going to go right by it, but just caught the 10-pin for the spare. Hello.
Wow.
5, 7, 8, no wood. You just got to go after the 5-pin and hope you'll be just a shade to the right.
Ooh, be close. Oh, Rich will take a 9. 96 through 8. Facing a large deficit here, as Jim Grigaitis is not giving him any room to breathe. Jim is from Brockton, Mass. South of Boston. We have not had an awful lot of bowlers from the Brockton area.
Marvin Hagler country.
There you go. Jim and his wife Diane have 2 children, JR, who's 5, and Kristen, who's 1. And Jim works as an account manager for Hill's Pet Nutrition. And that'll be a 9-box. And what do you know about this? 3 open boxes in a row for Jim Grigaitis.
Oh, he's in a mini slump here. Still leads by 45, opposite a 9 frame by Rich Hallberg in the 8th.
Well, big ball there for the strike. What slump?
Yeah, all we have to do is mention it. Strike in the 8th, and there you see the replay. 8-pin finally goes down. Rich Hallberg still looking for his first strike. Half Worcester right.
It was like 1, Rich.
Oh, giving it a shot.
Did.
And the 10.
There's for a strike.
Much needed. Rich could use a double. Unfortunately, it's in the 10th box.
Do it again.
Double up, Rich.
Another ball. There it is. Double strike.
As Rich is shaking his head a little bit. One, he said, why can't I do this earlier? And I'm sure the other reason is that, as Doug mentioned, it's in the 10th frame, so you don't get the full advantage of that double strike. 126 plus this ball.
Just off target this time, but he carries 7 and a 133 for a 2-game total, 257 for Rich Hallberg. Spread eagle. Oh, no, not a spread eagle. As something came down from the top.
It's looking at the 2, 3, 4, and 10. 6 and 10, I should say. That's a 9 fill on the strike. Gives him 107 in the 8th.
Jim will need a mark in the 10th to win this game. Otherwise, he'll lose a small bit off his lead.
It's going to be close to the 300 mark for 2 games with a mark.
Come on, Jimmy.
Actually, he's got a chance for 300 if he,
All right, if he does
gets the mark.
Well, the wood wants to either roll back or get out of the way, because right now I think you'll leave the 5-pin standing. Might have rolled back just enough. It's going to deflect everything away from the 5. Well, drives it right straight through. That gives him 394, I believe. 392.
290.
292, yeah.
294.
Oh, what's 100 pins among friends?
294 plus a ball.
294. So 6 pins, you'll be over the 300 for 2 games, folks. 2.
Oh, yeah. A 7, 133, so he matches Rich Hallberg's score here in the second game. 301 after 2 games for Jim Grigaitis to Rich Hallberg's 257. We're back with Game 3 and a look at our Tournament of Champions field after this. Five bowlers have already qualified for the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions. This will be our 8th annual event. It begins in just 4 weeks' time. Bob Kelly, our #1 seed right now, Joe Ashline and Tim Lipke not that far behind, all with 400 series in their championship matches. Rich Clark and Dan Broder are also safely into the field, and 3 weeks from today we will know who our 6th and final qualifier will be. When scores get up in the zone that Jim Grigaitis is in today, up over 300 after 2 games. Oh, he just missed that one. He actually breezed by the 7-pin there. He touched it a bit, but not enough to knock it over. We'd like to look at the record book for those of you who do not recall. Our all-time high triple was 481. That was thrown by Rick Farwell back on June 3rd, 1984.
Wow. Hello. 1 and 9.
And in that match, Rick also set the record for most marks in a match. He had 23. So it looks like unless Jim Grigaitis gets even hotter than he's been so far, both of those records are safe. Nice 10 for Jim. And an opening here for Rich Hallberg. He managed to hold himself even in that second game. He trails by 44, but a chance to make up some ground here early.
He just finished with a double strike. 5-7-8. He had this before, but not with the wood. This time it's a very makeable spare.
Yes. A lot of wood, and that helped carry it. We get another look.
He used all of it, too.
Needs a big fill. Gets a big fill.
How big is that?
Well.
There he immediately goes 10 pins off the lead, plus he's got the strike opposite an open frame. If he was to throw another strike, watch out. Three and 6 left for Jim. Oh, doesn't like that wood. Not at all.
Could deflect right over to the sidewall. Oh, he got it.
What's the problem?
Drove it through.
Hasn't made many mistakes.
That's mark number 14 for Jim. Brooklyn side, and almost all of them.
And again, he has a piece of wood he has to negotiate with, and 9 pins up. He's taking a close look at it. I think you have to go right of the red line. Although it's wow. That was looked like
very,
it's frozen.
Very deceiving.
Yeah. Took a second look at it. I thought it was frozen against the 9, but had to come up high. So little break for Rich Hallberg with Jim going by that single pin.
Well, 2 very critical boxes right here. Jim has put a mark up, of course, which is a factor, but what if Rich were to throw a strike right here? Things could change in a hurry.
I'll bet you he's thinking about that. Oh, he let the ball go a little soon. Got a good break off it, though. Blew his hands up. He knows he really got away with one there. 1, 2, and 9 left. A couple pieces of wood in between. Got to have the head pin.
No. He'll take a 9. So he, after all that, knocked just 8 pins off the lead, but now he's opposite an open frame again.
Put it here, Richie.
That's the pocket hit.
Here it comes.
The ball before.
Oh, boy.
1 box too late. We will take a break. Rich Hallberg with a strike up, and we'll be back on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. All right, here we go. Final 6 boxes. Jim Grigaitis Touches all of them except the 3.
And this time a piece of wood in front of the 3-pin. Should be no problem. Just drive it right straight back.
Right there.
For the spare. 15 marks in 25 boxes. Ooh, but right through the center, just 2. The 1 and the 5.
Boy, it's hardly fair to say that's a mistake. He hit the object pin, drove right straight back. I said he hasn't made many mistakes. Almost converted that.
Well, what this is going to do is it's going to make virtually 2 open boxes for Jim Grigaitis, and Rich Hallberg again will be stepping up working on a strike. So he'll be in the same position he was a moment ago. If he were to throw a double, could get very interesting. Great workout for a 10 there by Jim Grigaitis after chopping out the 1 and the 5.
Rich probably wish he could throw this ball on lane 31. Those were the 2 strikes in the 2nd and the 4th frame.
Big ball right here. Again, missed the head pin.
Watch out.
Run it down, run it down.
1, 2, and 4 pins for the spare.
No. No, let's see. Wait a minute. Piece of wood coming back, but not hard enough, I don't think.
Rich has had some chances. Just let it slip by here. Missing the object pin there on the head pin.
Well, the lead is 29 right now, and if Rich were to put a mark up here,
He's still got room.
this lane has been very good to him. Oh, not this time.
1, 8, and 9. Spread eagle plus that 5 pin.
All 5. Rich has thrown 5 strikes in the match. All 5 of them have been here on lane 31, but nothing doing this time. Oh, great 10.
Well, that would have been good enough for the spare, I believe, if he was to throw that ball the second ball. Watch how quick this goes. Three, 5, and the sleeper in the back, the 9 pin.
No. Jim can feel reasonably comfortable, I think, but the way Rich has been throwing strikes, especially on lane 31, a double strike could change things in a hurry here, and Rich has thrown 5 strikes in this match. Jim Grigaitis has 3 among his 15 marks. Take a shot at the 4 horsemen here. Not. Oh, there he goes. He'll get it. Those 2 pieces of wood colliding and helping with the spare. Another look. Right there, when those 2 pieces of wood collided, made the shot. Rich is on the Brooklyn side this time. And that wood is in a very bad spot.
And I think it's in play.
I do too.
Cindy's going to take a look at it, but he has a 3, 5, and 9. Same 3 pins that Jim Grigaitis had just a little while ago, but this is a little more complicated because of the wood out in front.
Let's see. Not
effort.
Quite enough.
Just missed.
Well, he's going to have to throw some kind of a mark now
Nice out, nice
to keep himself in it. He's got to have a mark here and hope that Jim does not fill his mark.
Rich, again, as he was several weeks back, has not thrown a bad score. He's missed a couple of opportunities, but he's just, once again, caught a guy having a very big day.
When you open up and somebody throws a 168 at you, it's pretty tough to recover in 3 games, but He made some mini runs at Jim, but just wasn't able to put that big streak together.
Oh, nice 10. Great shot making here in this third game by Rich Hallberg. The 2, 4, and then the 3. Big strike on spare for Jim Grigaitis. That puts him over 400.
Just tripping the 4-pin. So 412 plus 2 bonus balls on a box.
That clinches it. Jim Grigaitis is our winner.
He bowled super all day long, and when you're bowling well, those things seem to happen. I don't think he planned on that ball coming back, but some 131, 432, plus this last ball.
Well, let's see. It's not over. Make it 7, a 138 and a 439 for Jim Grigaitis. With 18 marks, 14 spares, and 5 strikes.
Show me a pretty one. Go outside.
And Rich Hallberg is going to have 3 games over his average.
Oh, great shot.
Yep. But once again, nothing to show for it, as happened back on Super Sunday.
He's going to be close to 400 himself with a big fill another mark.
There it is. Well, if Rich were to put 9 on this, he's got 400 as well.
Amazing.
Big fill here, Rich.
And he's got 15 marks.
One more.
Oh, he'll take 8 for a 142 and 399 for Rich Hallberg. The handshake for Jim Grigaitis, the winner. We'll be moving on next week. We'll tell you about that and have our $130 bonus ball contest when we come back to Park Place Lanes in a minute. We are back at Park Place Lanes, and for the second time in 2 months, Dan, Rich Hallberg throws a fine score, this time $3.99, but again, not enough to win.
That's right. He was joking after the show that, well, at least come up today, no one's going to throw $4.29 against me, and he was right. Somebody threw $4.39 against him. Yeah, he just no luck. I mean, he was right there. He missed a couple opportunities in spares, but when you're that much behind at first, you kind of press a little bit, and you know each mark is critical, and he really needed a double strike someplace in there to get him back in the match.
All right, a couple minutes to chat with our bowlers. First of all, bring a round of applause on for Rich Hallberg with a $3.99. And fifth place prize money, Rich, is $100. And I know that the odds are against having this happen twice in a row. But as Dan said, boy, you throw well. And although a guy comes out, throws 6 marks in a row, that makes it difficult.
Yeah, he came right out of the chute. As I was driving up here today, I said, well, Kevin Davis had 429 the last time, so I know that won't happen again. And I was right, 439. So what are you going to do? There's not much you can do.
Still a terrific outing, and although you won't be able to climb the ladder and make the tournament this year, perhaps we'll see you again next year and try it again.
Always next year. Next year.
Rich, thanks a lot. Congratulations. Rich Hallberg now with an 0-2 record here in singles and has thrown big scores both times. All right, now, Jim Grigaitis for our bonus ball. We have $130 in the jackpot, and all the pressure is on Dan Murphy to pull out a matching card. That will be a 5 for $130. Can Dan do it? Rich Hallberg said, now you throw that. It is not a match for Joan Martin of Nashua, New Hampshire. Joan guessed 8, so she'll be receiving a consolation gift from TV50 and the NHCBA. Jim Grigaitis, come on up here. A fine 439. And the good news is, first time on, 439. Great job. The bad news is, now you got to do it all again next week.
Yeah, I know. And we got another easy one coming next week in Tom Morgan, so hopefully we can bring some of it to next week.
Obviously, I think it's fair to say you were pretty comfortable right from the start today.
Yeah, I had a good first ball going, and my spare was there, and I got a few lucky breaks, but pretty much stayed right in, right within myself the whole match. So.
Well, 439, as you say, you don't get a chance to carry any of that over to next week, but Tom Morgan will be here. That should be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to probably be another 400 to beat him, so we'll have to bring it all again.
We look forward to it. Congratulations, Jim. Great job. Terrific job in his first appearance with us here on Stars and Strikes, a 439. And we'll spin back to the ladder here to set you up for the rest of this series. Jim Grigaitis trying to come from the number 5 spot. It's been a while since we've had somebody come up from the bottom, and he will face our number 3 seed, Tom Morgan, next week. You see Don Richmond and George McAllister in the weeks to come. But this final spot for the Tournament of Champions, 4 guys remaining now, and I would assume after throwing a 439, we have to consider Jim Grigaitis as a legitimate shot to run the table after he throws a match like that.
Well, all of a sudden he's a veteran now, but he's got to get through another veteran next week, and then he's got Don Richmond. But you have to take it one match at a time and one 400 at a time, probably.
All right, a couple of quick reminders. Don't forget, next Saturday at noon, we will be back from the Londonderry Bowling Center for Candlepin Skins. And next Sunday, we will be on at our regular time, Sunday, March 31st at 12 noon, our regular time here from Park Place Lanes. It'll be Jim Grigaitis going for his second win in a row against Tom Morgan. Until next weekend, for Dan Murphy and our whole Winds of New England crew, I'm Doug Brown. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everybody.